So this video did not go the way I wanted it to. I lost some footage and I missed the opportunity to record some footage. Long story short, this was my granddad's tractor. It's sat in the woods for 20 plus years and we were going to restore it for my mom. It was going to be a surprise birthday present, but that didn't work out due to some circumstances and time crunches, so we decided just to get it running and usable again. So hopefully y'all enjoy what footage I do have and kind of go along with some of the chaos that I deal with every day. Let's get into it. Alright, so we've skipped a few steps. Y'all gonna have to bear with me while I got this sinus infection going on. But the family come up and they tore down a pretty good bit of the tractor. And this is going to be a birthday present. So we're not trying to make it completely restored. We just want to run, function, and look somewhat pretty. But yeah, this is where it's at. So we've got our wheel seals. The sun's going to make it hard to see, but our wheel seals are leaking. We're going to replace those, new brakes. We're going to clean everything up a little bit better. The clutch is locked up, so we're going to actually split this tractor. We're putting a new clutch on her. We got some different wheels and tires we're going to put on it because these are bad. But yeah, that's pretty much it. We are going to clean this thing up. If I can get you out of the sun. We're going to clean this thing up the best we can with the least amount of time possible, and we're going to put some paint on her. Alright, so we're about to dig into it. We've got our 2-post lift coming in handy. It's going to use it to hold the rear of the tractor up. We'll put a jack stand over there. Safety first. But what we're going to try to do from the YouTube videos I've watched, thank God for YouTube, we're going to take our tie rods loose. We're going to try to just lay those back. They're going to stay with the rear half. We'll take our track bars, whatever you want to call them, we'll take those loose. It looks like we're going to have 2 bolts right here. And then we will split our bell housing. Since everything else is already off the tractor, this shouldn't be too bad. But yeah, hopefully y'all find this somewhat entertaining. I'm sure it'll be entertaining to somebody. But I do want to mention, we have got shirts on the website now. So we got just different kinds of shirts. If you don't mind, go check them out. See if you see something you like. If you don't, let me know. If you do, let me know. I don't like people just giving away money, but every dollar helps this channel to grow, and I want you to get something that you can use if you support the channel in some way. So anyways, that's my plug for this episode. So go check that out and sit back and watch this chaos that's about to happen. Alright, so let's take our tie rods loose. That's not the right size. That is the right size. Let's see, righty tighty, lefty loosey. That's tightening, y'all. That's tightening. We're going the wrong way. That is loosening. That's one off. And if you were watching this video, it would be easier probably to turn the wheels to get your tie rod to come out past some of this stuff. But we're being lazy, so we'll fast forward it. And there it is. So let's see if we can get these tie rods loose. They're just wore out. We may have to put the air hammer on them. We'll give them a gentle pop or two and see if they want to break loose. If not, we will get the air hammer. And they're not.
move this other tie rod where we can get to it. Boy, it turns easy when you only got one wheel hooked up. See if the air hammer went in this one. We're going to mess the threads up on it. So let's see if we can start our nut back on there to try to save the threads. Alright, there's that one. So now, the problem we're going to run into that we popped this one loose, but we've got this nut on here, is the inside of the tie rod. Right here. So these are old and wore out. They're probably from the 60s. They're going to spin just like that. See if we can't find a set of vice grips, put on the bottom side to hold it, and we'll get that nut off. Alright, so these little mini-me's are not really ideal, but I've got so much junk scattered everywhere on the Cummins project that hopefully they'll work. But I don't think they will because they won't even adjust, so take two, find something else. So this is why it's always important to keep your shop clean. Your work area clean. That way you can find tools when you need them. These are not going to work. Too big. Take three. We found the vice grips. Let's hope they're going to work this time. Put that on there. There she is. So let's lay these tie rods back out of our way. Now let's take a look at these caps. I believe they're going to be 11/16. And we've got an 11/16 somewhere. Boy, we gotta clean this mess up. So, any of my regular followers, the Thumbs project is still going. You can't see it, but she is over there. We just have not had time to fool with it lately. You got the two taps off right there. Since it's old and crusty, we'll do a few taps. There she is. We will put some grease on that when we get done. For now, we will set these caps back on and start the nuts back, just so we can keep up with what's what and where it goes. Alright, go to the other side and do the same thing. Alright, so we've got the little track bar doohickeys. Got these loose out of our way. We got to take our exhaust pipe. You can't see on the camera, but it's there. Looks like they're going to be 2 5/8. Maybe that exhaust pipe slides off the manifold. So it turns out it's a 9/16, not a 5/8. Alright, so just like that, our exhaust is loose. I'm cheating, I know I'm cheating, but now it appears that we're ready to split this thing in half. Pretty sure, I think. So what we're gonna go ahead and get our cherry picker rigged up, get our chain around it, get some tension on it, and then we will zip these bell housing bolts out and see if we can't split these things apart. Loose. Some of you clever people noticed I'm using our redneck cheater bar, an extension with a socket on the wrench, boom, cheater bar. But it looks like we didn't need it. Nope, they were loose. So let's zip those bolts off and see if we can't split this thing. Just like that. Do the other side. Now we are missing some of these bolts, so I'm not sure without counting all the holes exactly how many we're supposed to have. What I do know is that we do not have all of them. Matter of fact, we've got 2 on this side. Alright. Figure out where we set our pry bar. I think it's over there. Make sure we've got some tension on this. These tires are flat, so this thing's probably not going to roll the best. But we are working with what we got, so we will try and see. There we go. There she is. She come apart fairly easy. Pick that up a little bit. We'll just keep rolling this back to get this engine angled out of our way so we can work on this clutch. Alright, get the jack stand under this and then we'll take a look at our clutch. Alright, so I'm going to bend y'all's way a little bit, but let's zip this clutch off. She got the pressure off her now, so we'll go around, zip the rest of these. The last one. There you have it. There she is. So that's probably gonna be a stopping point for the night. We'll take and there's a bunch of junk up inside the housing on this end. There's some junk inside that housing. We'll clean all that out. We will clean all this sludge off this bad boy right here. Imagine she's probably leaking some oil in there. Pilot bearing feels good. Clean everything up, resurface that with some 80 grit sandpaper, 180, whatever, and we'll go back together with it tomorrow evening and we'll start on the rear brakes. So we're going to see if we can get this pilot bearing out. Not really using the proper tool for it, but none of my bearing pullers will fit in here. So after that, hope for a little bit of luck. I don't think we're budging her. Have to figure something else out. Alright, so our cooler did not work, so we're going to use bread. Some of you may have seen this before. We've got a bolt we ground down to fit inside this pilot bearing. Then we've put some tape on it before it bottoms out. That way we know how far we're going. You don't want to be beating against your crankshaft. And you can do this with grease. Bread is less messy. And it throws people for a loop. When I first started doing mechanic work in a big shop, I'd use this trick to remove a pilot bearing and everybody was like, what the hell? But it works. So basically what you're gonna do is you're gonna pack all this bread in through your pilot bearing, and then we are going to smush it all in with this bolt. We're gonna keep packing it, and that bread will push this bearing out if everything goes the way we want it to. So see if it works. Alright, so it's starting to come out. I'm gonna move this camera angle so y'all can actually see it maybe. Alright, this puts me at an awkward hammering angle, but watch this bearing right here as we drive our bolt in. So we reach our tape, so to be safe, pull it out, stick some more bread in there. Basically just pack as much that will fit. There she is. So hopefully y'all learned a cool trick. Now we just gotta clean all this bread out. There it is. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and clean this flywheel up. This is just a regular scraper. They got the carbide scrapers I've used in my other videos that work 20 times better. This would probably be almost pretty clean. Alright, so we've got some 120 on our little sander here, sheetrock cleaner, and we're going to resurface this flywheel. So I would highly recommend you get your flywheel resurfaced. But for this project, this is going to work just fine for us for what we're doing with this tractor. So we will put our pilot bearing in and get our clutch put on. See if we can do this at this camera angle. We've got our bearing driver set. We'll give it a few light taps to get it squared up. once she looks fairly squared up. There is our pilot bearing. So let's get our clutch put on. Alright, so let's put our clutch on. So, when you're doing this, you want to hand tighten all your screws, and you really just want to get them started at first, because if you tighten one side, you've got pressure already on this, it'll kick that other side up. That doesn't sound good. Not sure if y'all can hear that, but it sounds like something's slapping. I don't like it. But the clutch is in. So the clutch bolts torqued up to like, I think it's 12 to 16 foot-pounds. Now we're gonna remove this throwout bearing. We've got our new one. It's got a spring on each side of it. You pull the spring off and it should slide out. Not sure how much tension they got. It's not much. We'll pull these springs off. Clutch pedal will fall. We'll pull this bearing off. Then what we'll do is we'll clean this input shaft, output shaft, input, whichever you want to call it. My dumb man. We didn't have to remove these springs because we're not replacing this retainer. Duh. Alright, so let's put these springs back on. Just like that. And we'll take and slide our throwout bearing up on there just like so. Alright, I guess we're ready to pop these bad boys together. Don't forget to pull your alignment tool out. That will cause some issues. And yeah, let's see if we can't put these back together. just like that. Pick it up with your knee just a little bit. Alright. See if she slides on up on there. She didn't. Alright, so we pretty much got it lined up on there. Got a little bit of gap on this side. Let's find our 11/16. And you don't want to force this thing down. We're just going to check and see how much pressure it takes to pull it up on itself. As long as it's still loose and doesn't take much pressure, we will call it good. Yeah, and it's just about the weight of the wrench is pulling it up on there. So I believe we'll be good. We'll go ahead and get this assembly sandwiched together with a wrench hand tight. I mean, that's all it's taking. We'll get it sandwiched up, then we'll go back and put the bolts we've got in there. We'll zip them in, and then we'll have to come back with some more bolts to fill our empty holes. We'll pop all of our junk right here back together temporarily for the moment. We've got some stuff we're going to need to check, and we may have to split this thing back apart to work on this engine. So for now, we're just going to pop everything back together. We'll put our track bar, we'll push it down, put it where it goes, and then we'll take and roll our tie rod end over. We'll do this one a little bit easier. Got a little bit of pressure on this tie rod. Then we will turn the steering wheel. Got our nuts right here. There's that. We got our exhaust hooked up, tie rods on, track bars on. the bell housings that we have are on. So now we're gonna move to the back. We gotta figure out how to jack this thing up and get it safe, and we're gonna work on the brakes. All right, so we got a slight update on the tractor. I'm sure it looks a little different. Family come up yesterday, and we slapped this thing back together. Let's see if it on the other side so you can see it without the sun. But this is what she looks like. Got everything slapped back on, the hood and all. It's just sitting there. We took and pulled a fuel tank off another tractor and slacked on this thing. So everything actually works for the most part. Gonna have to get another starter for it. And we've still got to do the rear wheel seal. So let's see if this thing will crank up for y'all so you can hear it purr. I was worried about it gonna have a knock issue, but it does fine. Now our little push button is shot, so we're just using a handy dandy wire. Oh, we gotta hook the battery back up, boys. Yeah, that will probably make it start a lot easier. Now we'll give her a try. How about that? Oh, I killed it, y'all. Alright, let's try it again. See if the starter hangs in there. Problem is I didn't wire the key switch up right, so it doesn't turn it off. We just have to choke it out. So there's where we're at. We will put the rear wheel seal. As you can see, she's pretty rough. We've got some other wheels we're going to slap on this bad boy, get this rear wheel seal put in, and we're going to call that good for right now. Once we get it back in the shop, if I can show y'all a little bit more, we'll go a little bit further over, go a little bit more in depth about what this project was supposed to have been. So That's a few nights later, and we're gonna try to change the wheel seal in this bad boy. If that's what you want to call it. This thing actually runs pretty smooth for what it is. I wasn't expecting that. So hopefully tonight we'll get this seal changed out. That way it doesn't leak oil on the brakes. Go ahead and change the brake shoes out on this side. I watched a video last week on it, but I don't remember, so bear with me. Again, this isn't a how-to video, because we're all gonna be in the same boat. But I got a feeling we might make it.